Hi everybody, before I start today's video, I'd just like to remind everyone that my Patreon is active and I'm posting there pretty often. If you have $4 to spare, you can sign up on a monthly basis. It's $4 a month. With that subscription, you get a pretty decent amount of stuff, and the list of stuff that you get is only going to keep building. Even if you subscribe for a month, go download everything and then unsubscribe, I don't care. Do your thing. Patreon is it's a beautiful way to support me, you know, so even if you do that, it helps a lot. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about sampling. We're going to make our own sampler within Ableton Live 11. We're going to make our own sampler preset. This sampler allows us to create kind of a playable instrument out of what we're sampling. So rather than chopping stuff up, we are chopping stuff up and looping it back on itself to create kind of a pad or a chord. You can do this with drums, you can do this with guitar, you can do it with samples that you find, you can resample yourself and do it this way. If you're having a hard time playing a part, you can do this. Truly limitless potential with this one. Kind of a long-winded explanation, but bear with me, I think you're going to be very happy at the end. And let's get into it. First things first, you want to grab yourself a sample. Here I just have a resampling of some keys that I just played. This is what it sounds like. Nothing crazy. Just messing about on a nice Kontakt preset. But, alright, so that's our sample. That's what we're going to chop. What are we going to chop it up with? Well, let me show you. Create an empty MIDI track. Drag down a drum rack. Go to Instruments and select Sampler. And drag it on down to C1. Now we're going to edit the sampler a little bit and tell Ableton how we want it to chop our samples for us. So first things first, we are going to go to Filter/Global. I'm going to make the volume -6, the release as high as it goes, the decay as high as it goes, and the time velocity as low as it goes, -100. I'm going to turn the filter off. I'm going to map the attack by right-clicking on it to macro 1. We're going to rename that attack, and we're going to make it a pretty color. Make it blue. Then we're going to go to pitch oscillation right next to it. We are going to right-click on transpose and map that to macro 2. We'll call that pitch, and we'll make this one a pretty color as well, just for fun. Now we need to drag a sample into our sampler, so we can tell Ableton what we want this sampler to do. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. Right now this sample is just playing as a one-shot. If you look down here at the sustain mode, you can see it's just the forward arrow into a wall. So whenever it is done playing, nothing happens. Whereas if we turn the sustain mode on full loop, you can see now that it is looping. Then there's this other one, which once it gets to the end of the loop, it'll reverse back on itself. And this is the one that I'm interested in right now. Turn the forward and backward loop mode on, and then at Filter Global, turn this little R on if it's not already. Make sure that voices is set to 1. Then we can click this little icon here, go to Input Output, and make the choke group 1. Now we can save this as a preset. And the way we do that is we go to User Library, right here on the left-hand side, go to Defaults, Slicing, and then we just drag it in, and now we will give it a name. We'll call it Loop Chopper. Now we can go back to this other sample right over here, and we can select with double-clicking where we want our warp markers to be. So I'm just going to go at the beginning of each waveform spike. Usually I would be listening to it as I do this, but I think right now it doesn't really matter. And we're just going to go through, create a couple spots where we want samples to come in. And it's important that you create a warp marker at the end, just so the samples know when to go until. Then you want to right-click, slice to new MIDI track. Make sure that it creates one slice per warp marker. There's other options here too, which are also great ways to sample. And then slicing preset, you want to go from built-in to the one that we just made. So we called it Loop Chopper, and we hit OK. Now it has created this new MIDI track where each slice we just made is being sampled here. And you can see these samples. And you can see that each sample is set up just how we set it up. So each one has a mapped attack and a mapped transposition, mapped pitch. Right? And on each slice, we can select the loopback mode and create a crossfade. So this is really good for kind of creating your own instrument with a sample. So if we look at slice 1, you can see it's kind of jagged, but we can drag where it loops forward a little bit, bring it back a little bit, and we can just kind of get this section down. And we can repeat this process for each sample. Might be a little tedious, but trust me, it's worth it. Yeah, all right. And so now we have this keyboard set up with all of these slices. Gonna give them some volume, and let's throw some count drums behind this, just for quickness. Yeah. It's a great way to sample anytime you have something like a nice jazz recording. And I'll just slice those just for quickness. Loop chopper. And now we have a nice little thing where instead of it just them all being one shots, we can get in here and make a little yeah. Have some fun with this. Thanks for watching. I hope you sample in fun ways and sample fun things and make good music this way. The sky is the limit, as usual, with sampling. So see you up there. Okay, bye.